Hello and welcome to this video that I've decided to record in addition to the first video that I just recorded on how being a highly sensitive person influences the way we live, the experiences of belonging to other minority groups, especially or when it's about being criticized or bullied or excluded due to us belonging to that minority group. And so I wanted to record this video to show you a bit on how the work that I mentioned in the first video looks, how doing the work looks, and how these what to look out for when what I mean by limiting conclusions and limiting decisions, and how to unravel these. And so I always try to keep the videos as general as possible, and I don't want to make it about me, but I just thought that maybe it could be helpful for someone to hear how I did the work and what it looked like. And so if that's your case, then you're welcome to watch this video. And if not, if you already have enough information with the first video, please don't feel obliged to watch this one. But I just felt I would let you in on how I did the work. So I was born in 1978 in Germany, and I was raised as an ethnic minority. This often led to me already from early childhood being bullied due to my skin color, and dealing with a lot of hostility, not only from people from my age group, but also from adults, from teachers, almost being denied the entry to school because my parents were told that I wouldn't be able to follow in the German school system. And so these experiences, of course, shaped me a lot. And then there's one experience that I want to talk about that sticks out, that happened to me when I was a young adult. So I was a language teacher, and I was living in and working in Cologne, and there was this group of students that said, look, let's go out for a drink because it was the end of the term, and let's celebrate, and let's go to this new bar that has just opened. And so we decided to meet at that bar, and when I arrived, there were already 3 of my students inside, and I wanted to enter, and the bouncer stepped out and said, well, you're not entering. And I'm like, excuse me? And it's like, you're not entering, and I don't have to tell you why. And so I noticed the hostility in him, and I was actually drawn back, and I was shocked and hurt. And I waved to my students and said, hey, told them to come out, there was a problem. And then the bouncer took one of them aside and said, you know what, we have too many problems with people like her. And then it became clear that people like her was, of course, people due to my ethnicity, due to my color of skin. And so we had to look for another place, and I felt bad. And then there was this student who kept going on about how she really had wanted to go into that bar, how it was a new bar, and it was in so many magazines, and it was the place to be, and how she was so annoyed she couldn't go. So it was about her, and she couldn't go to the bar. There was nothing about the bouncer that had discriminated me and not let me in. And I even felt, as a highly sensitive person, we are perceptive to feeling people's thoughts, that she was actually giving me the responsibility, that she had been denied this magnificent experience of being able to say that she was in that bar. There was no being annoyed at the racism, the discrimination. And so there were other students who had been on their way, they had to be informed and so on. And at that moment, will you believe that I actually apologized? I said, I'm so sorry, guys. Now I think, what is that? I mean, I was the person who experienced discrimination, and I'm apologizing to the group that they couldn't have that experience. But so this is the experience that I made. And now let's come to what I mean when I talk about the limiting decisions and the conclusions about ourselves that actually turn us into our worst enemies. And the thought was, I was born with the wrong skin color. My skin color is bad. I have to be ashamed of my skin color. It's a shame. My skin color causes trouble, and it causes me and others trouble. It's the reason why I'm discriminated and not being allowed into the places. So it wasn't about the reason I'm not allowed into these places is because there are people who are fools, let's say that, and who are racist and mean and who are excluding me. No, it was the reason is the skin color. Why couldn't I have been born with another skin color? Do you see? So a painful experience led to me even making a painful conclusion about myself, turning myself against myself. And then now comes the painful and limiting decision that I made from that conclusion that I drew is I'm just not going to frequent places anymore where there's a bouncer. I'm just, and I sometimes even decided not to hang out with people because I didn't want them to have a bad experience because of me, unless I knew where I was going. So I deprived myself of many things that I would have loved to experience as a young adult due to these experiences and due to believing that about myself. So that's what I mean. These experiences, these limiting conclusions now sat in the driver's seat, took the steering, and steered my life in a direction that I actually wouldn't have chosen for myself and didn't want for myself. But I decided that they were going to steer my life, the limiting decision. And then the results, I missed out on a lot being a young adult due to believing that my skin color was wrong and was the reason for trouble. So this is what to look out for. Another example, I was always bullied already as a little child because I wasn't slim. I was a chubby kid, and there was this time where there were these three schoolmates from a higher class that girls who decided to make my life difficult by waiting for me every morning once I got off the bus and they were always at the same place, and then they would start laughing at me due to my body shape, and they would go behind me and they would make sure that everybody else also noticed that and knew that I had arrived, and that made my life really difficult. And so that was the experience. The limiting conclusion that I made is that I am ugly, my body shape is ugly, I am worth being laughed at, I'm ridiculous, I'm not lovable. And the limiting decision was then the decision that I made due to this experience, and the conclusion that I made is I'm going to hide under layers of huge sweaters and t-shirts. I'm just going to try and hide my body shape. Everything will have to cover me almost completely, until in my late 20s when I had a friend who was like, why are you doing this to yourself? You're beautiful. Why are you wearing these clothes in summer? Come on. But until then, everything had to be big and wide. I have to hide because I'm ugly, my body shape is ugly, and I'm worth being laughed at. So always liberating the other person from their responsibility. You get that? And again, the decision was in the driver's seat and steered my life in a way that I wouldn't have chosen. I missed out a lot. I missed out on dressing the way I would have loved to dress, and so on. Another thing, because I've said that it's also being sometimes a minority in the things that we do. So I became a singer, so I am a coach and a singer. And when I started to have gigs and have paid gigs and concerts, there were some so-called friends, people I had considered friends, that started turning against me, and by criticizing, or by just having these, by hating on me for that, as in, oh yeah, you're a show off, oh another concert, oh, I don't know why do they choose you to do this concert, and oh yeah, you always have to dress in this way to draw attention and so on, and at that moment the conclusion that I made was, my gift turns friends into enemies. Now, of course, I know that there was no friendship, because friends are the ones that are like, you go girl, you've got this, and they cheer you on. So those were not real, true friendships. But because I also wanted to be liked and not again excluded and be part of being criticized and have these experiences, I decided I am to downplay my work, to put my light, to dim my light, to maybe also sometimes sabotage myself and sabotage some chances, not take them, or not speak about when I had another concert, not mention that, for example. These are just examples where I wanted to show you how this works. It goes from an experience, then you draw a conclusion that is against you, and then you make a decision that's also against you, and then you have the results that are also not the results that you would have loved or wanted to have. And this is why it's so important to do this work, to sit down, and I'm asking you to do this also in this video. Please, if you've watched it, sit down, go through the experiences. It's painful, let those tears flow, scream if you have to, because it's also painful to be aware of things that you missed out on, or maybe years of believing lies. That's really painful when we come to realize that. But it's worth it, and it's important. It's important to do this work, to tear out the weed, so that then we can move on to, and I'll also record a video on that, the next one will be on that, to plant, to cultivate the garden that we actually want to have. Thank you very much, and I hope that this video has been helpful, and I hope to see you again in the next video.